We at Airsoft GI have noticed an influx of newer players getting into the scene, which is awesome to see. However, we also understand that to a beginner player, a lot of the information can seem a little overwhelming, or you're having a hard time even finding the information to begin with. So we wanted to help out, provided this list is going to have our top recommendations of things you need to know about before you start Airsoft.
The most important thing to know when getting started in Airsoft is knowing what type of budget you have available to you. Airsoft guns are unfortunately not free, and your allotted budget will ultimately decide what type and how much equipment is feasible and accessible to you. Airsoft guns under $100, such as spring-powered airsoft guns or low-powered AEGs, are typically not recommended for skirmish play or for bringing onto a field, and are usually going to be relocated mostly for backyard plinking or target shooting some cans in your backyard. Moving up in budget from $150 to $250 range, maybe even just at that $200 flat range, this is typically the budget we advise most Airsoft players have in order to have a much wider selection of well-built and reliable options. Many of the guns in this budget are going to be comprised of a polymer construction, keeping the cost down while still being incredibly durable. Many of these options too will also come included with a battery and charger right from the box. Moving up in budget again to $250 to $300, maybe even $350. This budget will allow a player to have access to the more premium selections out there, many of which will include a full metal construction, higher quality internals, and more added features such as programmable electronics or official licensing and trademarks to truly replicate the real deal. Now that we've gone over the budget and how to select your Airsoft gun, it is imperative that we go over how to prepare for the upcoming game. Failure to do so will ultimately result in equipment failure, lack of necessities, and a bad time just all around. The majority of Airsoft guns are going to be electric powered or automatic electric guns, AEGs for short, require a use of an external power supply to operate. As previously stated, some models will come included with a battery and charger, however most will not, especially $200 and above will typically not. After sourcing both a battery of your choice and the appropriate charger, you will need to fully charge the battery and plug the connectors into the Airsoft gun to operate the AEG properly and effectively. Next is going to be making sure your magazines are both loaded and wound up. The magazines are what hold the BBs needed to shoot, and if they're not loaded beforehand, you're going to be shooting nothing but air. To avoid this, make sure to load your magazines before the game starts. If the Airsoft gun that you receive is using a high capacity magazine or high cap, there will be a door needed to open and pour your BBs into, in addition to a winding wheel at the bottom. Make sure that that is properly taut and wound to ensure that the BBs are feeding directly into the hop chamber. Now, if it is a mid capacity magazine in which the gun comes included with, there will be no door for you to pour your BBs into. You will need to use a speed loader in order to properly load your magazine. However, there is going to be no winding wheel as it is a mid-cap magazine and will automatically feed for you. Moving on to one of the most crucial pieces of equipment you will need before airsofting is going to be face protection. Without it, players can be subject to injury that could result in the loss of an eye or vision. Some fields will vary with this rule, some requiring a full face mask, while others may only require full seal eye protection. The eye protection you choose, however, must be ANSI rated and be full seal in order to meet the vast majority of field rules. There are typically two methodologies for meeting the requirements, either going with a set of goggles and a mesh mask or a full face mask. With the goggles, they are going to vary in size and style, but it is going to be highly recommended to pair them off with a mesh mask with some hard metal mesh to protect the face and teeth, just to make sure that your teeth don't get shot out and while still maintaining the protection for your eyes. A full face mask will be able to do both in one job, in one piece, which is very, very convenient, and they will vary in terms of quality and style. Moving on from eye protection is going to be clothing and knowing what pieces of clothes you will need to play Airsoft. A common misconception is that players need to be decked out in tactical gear and BDUs in order to play. This couldn't be farther from the truth, and most fields will solely require face protection, whatever's needed to meet that requirement, and won't have any sort of uniform requirement at all. Very rarely will we see that, only for events typically. It is highly recommended for most players just to dress comfortably and in clothes that they feel comfortable running in and they don't mind getting dirty. The environment should also be a very big factor when making these decisions as well, as you don't want to wear anything too bulky or highly insulating articles of clothing when playing in hotter environments.
In today's Airsoft market, it can be quite overwhelming trying to figure out what Airsoft gun you need, which is why at Airsoft GI we proudly present the Mayo Gang MGC4. We have developed a line of airsoft guns directly using the input and feedback from the airsoft community, from airsofters of all walks of life, to not only develop an airsoft lineup that was going to perform fantastic, but also be incredibly accessible. If you want more information regarding the MGC4 and to see all the different variations we have available, make sure to head on over to airsoftgi.com. And if you were looking for an airsoft gun that was built by airsofters for airsofters and meant to dominate the airsoft fields, the MGC4 is the only clear answer.
The next thing to know before starting your first airsoft game is to not be intimidated. Many of your fellow airsofters have been playing for a very long time and have accumulated a wide assortment of airsoft guns and gear, so it can be quite easy to feel intimidated, overwhelmed, or get the sensation of being underprepared and not fitting in. Keep this in mind. All those same players were just like you once and also started their first airsoft game, probably feeling the same emotions. Keep this in mind and don't be afraid to talk to your fellow players and ask any questions you might have. As airsofters, we are always looking for ways to encourage the next generation of players. The last and arguably the most important thing to know before playing airsoft is to just have fun. Airsofting is a great and fun activity to do solo or with friends. Don't take it too seriously and just roll with it. You'd be surprised how many new great experiences you will have and how many new friends you will make over the course of your airsoft career. Speaking from personal experience, this would be the most important thing to know before playing your first game of airsoft.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully this gives you a better understanding and hopefully this helps get you started into this amazing hobby. If you guys like the content that you are seeing, make sure to go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. It helps keep the cameras rolling, helps keep the lights on. If you guys want us to continue to support the channel directly, make sure to get all your airsoft goodies from Airsoft GI. My name is Isaias, and I'll see you guys on the next one.